got to see both guys play today, Cam Newton and then Mac Jones extended action, some with the starters. Got at least one rep with the offensive line, and then some offensive starters beyond that carried well into the second half. And so he played with second teamers, third teamers. We got to see a little bit of everything. We got to see him run a no huddle. So just first impressions, Mac Jones, what you saw. And I'll say right out of the gate, results aside, the one thing that is very clear, it looks like a Patriots offense when Mac Jones runs it, less so when Cam Newton runs it. I think that's pretty clear, but I don't know what you're seeing when you're watching Mac there. Your overall thoughts on his night.
I would say the two things that stood out the most to me were, number one, poise, right? Yeah. It doesn't look too big for him. He looks comfortable out there. He looks like he's in command of the offense. The second thing I would say is his accuracy. I think everybody gets caught up in actual ball placement when we study accuracy and charting. Where is it an accurate ball? Is it an inaccurate ball? Right. With Mac, what I consistently see with him is he just has a really good understanding of where the ball needs to be, on top of the fact that he has a good ability as a thrower to get it to that spot, right? So I think the most important thing that you see out of him is just thoughtful accuracy, which basically is a fancy way of saying he puts the ball where only his receiver is going to catch it. It's either going to be a catch by his receiver or it's going to be incomplete. And he's not putting the ball up for grabs. He's not throwing it into coverage. He's not throwing it into traffic. And I think the two throws that really stood out to me were the first one being on that play action pass to Kendrick Bourne on that dig route right early on. I think it was his second or his third throw when he got in there. He sells the fake, hits the top of the drop, makes a decisive decision about where he's going to go with it, and then fits the ball in between four defenders.
In traffic, a tight window, yeah.
Right, that's an NFL throw, and that's the timing and the rhythm of the drop-back passing game on that particular play is what the Patriots want it to look like. Right, that's the way it's supposed to look.
It's all timing too, because I mean, to be fair, he's not drilling that ball in there either. So the timing has to be perfect in order to get a ball in between those receivers. And you have to throw it with a lot of confidence and poise, because there's not a lot of RPMs on that ball. It just isn't what he does. I assume the second throw is going to be the would-be touchdown to Wilkerson down the sideline.
So that was a good throw, but it actually wasn't the second throw. And we can talk about that one in a second. Yeah. It was another one to Wilkerson though. And it was later on during that no huddle 2-minute drill that the Patriots ran right out of the gate in the second half. So 3rd and 3, Kristian Wilkerson is running a little kind of hitch route. It might have had a little bit of an option on it. Only he could tell me that. And Mac Jones sees, first of all, just to go through the read a little bit. The first thing that Mac Jones sees is that the linebacker, the off-ball linebacker in the middle of the field, is in man coverage on the running back. So that the running back's route into the flat is going to pull the linebacker underneath from out of the way of the Kristian Wilkerson route. Right. So that's number one is, okay, the linebacker isn't dropping underneath the route. He's going to move out of the passing window. Check. The next thing that he reads is that the defender that's on Kristian Wilkerson in man coverage is sitting on Kristian Wilkerson's inside hip, right? So what does Mac do when Kristian Wilkerson starts to gather and get into his break? He throws the ball with anticipation, so the ball comes out quickly, right? Gets it there and with anticipation, so that when Wilkerson turns around, the ball is right on his outside hip, away from the defender to his inside. So that's the type of quick processing and ball placement against underneath coverage or against those shallow coverages, right, on those quick throws that you really want to see out of a Patriots quarterback, and in particular a guy like Mac Jones, who is going to live with a lot of those types of throws. He averaged about 7.6 air yards per attempt, right? Or average depth of target. He wasn't exactly airing it out, right? He had the one throw to Wilkerson. He had the one throw he tried to hit Gunner on down the field. Those were the two times where he threw the ball over 10 yards in the air. But those quick decisions, the good accuracy and the underneath throws, that looks like the Patriots offense.
It looks like the Patriots offense. What we can't see, and again, I was there for a bit of it in the first half, but we do have the luxury of being able to see the field better, obviously, when you're at the game there. So you can't see on TV whether or not, he makes a throw if he missed somebody open. And so are any of those situations where, you know what, he might have been able to press it downfield and he took the easy check down? Was Mac being exceedingly cautious or conservative, or was he just taking what the defense was giving him?
I think you took the defense, what the defense gave him beautifully, honestly. And the check down to J.J. Taylor was a great example of that.
A couple of them.
The coverage goes upfield, right? And the linebacker level, the second level of the defense is trying to drop underneath those intermediate routes, which is really where Mac is trying to go with the football. And the defense knows that, right? The defense knows that he's going to attack that area between the numbers at the sticks, and that's where the Patriots want to live. So they kind of back off, right? And then instead of just holding the football and trying to see if somebody comes open at the second or the third level of the defense, he dumps it off to J.J. Taylor, and J.J. Taylor ends up running for 11 yards on the check down, right? Because those linebackers aren't able to close on him quick enough because Mac gets the ball out so quickly. So those types of quick decisions and getting the football out and knowing, okay, this is what the defense is giving me. This is the best option that I have on this particular play. I don't want to call it Brady-like because that's unfair to him, but that's the type of timing and rhythm and just sort of the idea of the whole offense, right? That's what they're the objective that Josh McDaniels is trying to get across to Mac Jones. Now, I thought the moments where he did have a few slip-ups, the slant/under route that he threw on third down, that was a lightning quick decision that he probably should have looked to try to hit a longer route down the field. It was a 3rd and 6
on the third down where he took the right. That was probably the one where he that play was going nowhere. Even if he hits it, he needed something more than that, and that was a bad read probably.
Yeah, he seemed to dictate a lot of things that he was doing pre-snap, and before that, he hit Kristian Wilkerson on a little comeback route on 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 6, and he was able to convert it and get it past the sticks. It was slant flat to the right side for him, and then he had the backside route with Wilkerson, and he saw the one-on-one with Wilkerson and said, I'm just going to attack this matchup over here. Yeah. And there was numbers for the defense to his right with the combination. And he said, I'm going to attack this matchup over here. And it worked out for him on that. The next time he kind of went back to that well again, and it sort of seemed like a little bit of a force. The other thing I would just mention, and this is one throw and one minor little detail, but he threw a ball in the flat to Jakob Johnson, and Jakob Johnson made a nice catch.
The reach down for, but it was behind him.
He made a nice catch on it. And I wouldn't say that it was, I'm not going to nitpick the throw in terms of the accuracy and things like that. But if you watch Mac Jones's
feet, he was so mad.
If you watch Mac Jones's feet on that particular play, his dropbacks from under center, I think, is still a work in progress for him. And it's not something that he did a ton at Alabama. Yeah. This was a quarterback that operated in the shotgun over 90% of the time in college. So I think that you watch his footwork on play action drops, it looks pretty smooth, but straight dropbacks from under center like that particular play, they're not going to happen a lot. Maybe they'll do it 2 or 3 times a game, but they're not going to happen a ton. And we saw that a little bit as of a struggle there on that particular play. But the last thing I wanted to say about Mac is just, especially in that no huddle sequence and some of the series that they got into in the second half, you definitely saw a script for Josh McDaniels with Mac Jones, right? You saw the Mac Jones offense sort of come to fruition there. They ran a couple of run pass options. They ran a quick no huddle, high pace, short passing attack. You saw what the vision was a little bit. They did tip their hand, I thought, just a tad of this is what it's going to sort of be like when Mac Jones is the quarterback. And it looks like an offense that he can run pretty well.
Well, so again, you know, in addition to people will always, you're going to analyze the performance and nitpick it. And, you know, we do this at training camp and everyone's charting completions and plays. And this guy was good today. This guy was good today, and back and forth. But reading the tea leaves just into the choices they made today, which was give Cam his series and then let Mac run, and then and have Mac do everything. And again, this has been, I think, clear from day one of training camp. It is clear they are trying to see whether he's ready for this job, and they're throwing every single thing possible at him. And tonight seemed like another case of that, which is go try it, run with the ones, run with the twos, run a no huddle. You're out there, kid, go. And he just did.
Right. And that's, I think, a really good point about the no huddle element of it. I thought was important. And Belichick mentioned after the game, he was asked why no huddle in that situation. he wanted the 2-minute drill before the half. They actually called a timeout before the half, and the defense just couldn't get off the field, and they didn't get it. And so they basically were simulating a 2-minute drill for themselves at the beginning of the third quarter by going no huddle with Mac. And then the other thing that I think was really important was that one series that he got with the starting offensive line, because they could have waited and they could have put Mac Jones in the next series, or they could have just pulled the starting offensive line then and there. But they didn't. He got a series with Trent Brown, Shaq Mason, Ferentz, Onwenu, and Wynn. And I think that was telling. Now, Cam's the starter, right? I mean, Cam was the guy that started tonight. He is the guy that's running with the ones in practice. He's the guy that's running with ones in pregame warmups. He is the starter right now. But when you see it, I mean, when you look at this offense, the Patriots offense comes out when Mac Jones is in the game. And secondly to that, you definitely see them giving him all the opportunities they possibly can to have him run through that door, right? And he's going to have to knock the door open. He's going to have to kick it in, right, if he's going to take the job week one. But you see them giving him that chance, and I'm really fascinated. I'll be out there in Philadelphia early next week. I'm really interested to see in those joint practices how much run Mac gets against the Eagles starting defense next week.
Well, my philosophy is a little different than yours, Evan. I know you'd say he has to win it. Part of me thinks he has to just not lose it. Not to say it's his. He has to look like he's not lost. I think ultimately, if they think he's going to be their starter in week 3 or week 4 or week 5, there's no reason to not make him your starter in week 1. I don't think he's going to get better between week 1 and 4. All you're doing at that point is waiting for Cam Newton to fail, because Mac's not going to impress you in practices during that time. He's not going to get any better. So you're going to know. If he's ready in week 4, he's ready in week 1, because he's probably going to be the same guy. You're really just rolling Cam out there so he fails and waiting for him to fail if Mac is going to be your starter. So my opinion, I believe if they think it's close, it makes sense to just roll the dice with Mac. Unless he's puking all over himself when he gets on the field and looks like the moment's too big for him. But as long as he has nights like this, while unspectacular, if he can run this offense and you can give him the keys and feel okay with it, I don't see how you would go with Cam just because he's the veteran and he was the guy last year. It doesn't seem to make sense based on what it is that they're trying to do, which is run this type of offense where they can do a lot of different things as opposed to the playbook that they're giving Cam on a weekly basis.
Right. And I think the point that I'm making about the Mac is going to have to take the job is that nothing is handed to anybody in New England. Right? You have to earn everything that you get. And right now, I think that what Bill Belichick is doing is he's using Cam as you need to take this job from Cam, right? Whether Bill actually thinks that Cam is the best guy for the job or not, or if Mac is there or not, I think that that's the obstacle he's trying to put in front of Mac to push Mac to see if he can get what he wants out of him. And I don't know. I think there is some elements to, and I've done some research into this in terms of when do first round quarterbacks actually start games in their, when's the sort of that line of time when they finally get into the games. Now, sometimes you have the Patrick Mahomes example, right? Where he sits behind Alex Smith for an entire year and doesn't play until his second season. But for the most part, if you draft a quarterback in the first round, that guy plays not necessarily right away all the time, but he plays in his rookie season, right? You don't draft a guy at that point and not play him, right?
But again, most quarterbacks you're talking about picked at the top of the draft are being picked by teams that obviously had massive quarterback issues, and you know that they're looking to start those guys. In a case of an Aaron Rodgers or a case of, even again, Mahomes was a number 10 pick, but you're right. It's still a good team with a competent starter here. You know, the demarcation line usually seems to be right around the time where you feel like you're out of contention or, and you're like, well, we have nothing to lose. Let's let the kid grow. But the Patriots don't want to do that this year. You don't want to go 1-3 with Cam before you pull the trigger there. You want to put a guy out there who you think gives you the best chance to win. Who do you think at this moment that person is?
It's hard to tell because And I know this is a cop-out answer, but
it's hard.
Seeing Mac Jones out there against Washington's 2s and 3s and sometimes even 4s there, I think at times in the third quarter, you don't want to overreact to a preseason game where he's playing mostly 90% of the guys he's going up against are backups. So you don't want to sit here and say that he's ready to take the mantle just yet. But I think from a stylistic perspective, I've always said this, and I said it from the day that they drafted him. Mac Jones is a better stylistic fit in the type of offense that Josh McDaniels wants to run than Cam Newton. It's just that simple. It's not saying that Cam is bad. It's not. I don't think that Cam stinks. I think Cam has improved a lot on the margins in training camp this year. But I do think that the offense runs the way that McDaniels wants it to run with Mac. He sees the game the same way. He gets the ball out in a timely fashion. He does everything that you want a quarterback to do within the structure of this offense. And we talk a lot about Brady comparisons, and you can take those or leave those. The guy that I constantly see when I see Mac play out there, a lot of Pennington comps, but I'm going with another quarterback that wore number 10 for the Patriots not too long ago.
Yeah,
he looks a lot like Jimmy to me. He's actually, if you put them side by side based off the measurements, they're about the same size, right? And they both have quick releases. They both throw within 20 yards extremely well. They throw a good touchdown the field, but they're definitely known for quick processing, get the football out, accuracy within 20 yards, that type of stuff. And I think that Mac might be a better deep ball thrower when it's all said and done than Jimmy, but I'd see comparing him to Brady is totally unfair, right? So if you're going to try to make a comparison to a viable NFL starter right now, I see a lot of Jimmy G.